Welcome to boring history for sleep, where the past flows gently and time unfolds like a slow current through forgotten civilizations. Tonight, we journey across the mists of history and across the sea to the valley of Anahuac, to the great island city of Tenochtitlan, built upon the lakes of central Mexico. Its causeways stretched like arms across still water, its temples reached into the sky, and its markets buzzed with a rhythm unlike any other. But beyond the grandeur, behind the obsidian blades and humming maize fields, was a world of precision and pressure, one where the sun itself needed feeding, and lives bent under burdens, both spiritual and literal. You'll find no roaring drums, hear only the whisper of paddles slicing lake water, the rustle of cloak fabric against stone steps, and the quiet murmur of tribute counted beneath flickering torchlight. In the hours ahead, we will explore what it truly meant to live and survive in the Aztec world, not through the eyes of kings alone, but from the dusty backs of porters, the trembling hearts of priests, and the steady grace of the royal household. So settle in, dim the lights, breathe deeply, let the weight of the day fade as we drift into a world long gone, yet vivid still in the stones, stories, and stars. Imagine waking before the light, not to a bell, not to the hum of traffic, but to the quiet shifting of the air as the lake breeze brushes the reed walls of your home. The world outside is a deep navy blue, streaked only faintly with the anticipation of dawn. Inside your modest hut, made of mud and cane, the hearth glows with the final embers of last night's fire. You are a tame, a porter, a man of the back and of the burden. No one speaks as you rise. Words are not needed at this hour. Your wife sits beside the hearth, warming to small tortillas wrapped in a cloth. It is fuel. You eat in silence, listening to the quiet breath of your children still sleeping under woven mats. They do not stir. They will not wake until the sun has begun to rise over the eastern rim of Lake Texcoco. You step out into the morning. The sky is still bruised with night. Mist rises off the lake in soft tendrils, winding between the chinampas, those ingenious floating gardens that feed the city. In the distance, the twin peaks of and loom like sleeping gods. You are barefoot. You always are. The mecapel, a thick woven strap, is tied around your forehead, the ends draped over your shoulders. You squat, lifting the weight of the maize sack onto your back. It is heavy, perhaps 50 to 70 pounds, but that is your role in the world. You are the legs of the market, the invisible current of goods. With each step, the stones of the causeway press into the soles of your feet. The road into the city is long and flat, raised above the waters on ancient, firm-packed earth and stone. Young boys just beginning the trade, shoulders raw and blistered from last week's labor. No one carries alone, but no one helps you. The air smells of moisture and fish. The lake is alive. Dragonflies skip between reeds, and waterfowl flap and call as the first light appears. In the distance, the island city emerges, Tenochtitlan. To see it for the first time, perhaps even the thousand Theas to witness something improbable. Marble-white temples rising like mountains, vast causeways fanning in from all directions, canals crisscrossing neighborhoods like a watery grid. It is a place of order and motion, of smoke and stone and sound. But you do not enter as a noble or a priest or a warrior. You enter under weight. Its reflection dances off the water, golden and sharp. Your shoulders burn. Your knees tighten, but still you walk. Passing beneath the gate of the southern causeway, you enter the district of Kyalapana Market Hub, always humming, but your destination is farther still, into the very belly of the city. You pass priests in white cotton robes, carrying bundles of herbs and sacred scrolls. Children run errands, clutching small loaves and baskets. Merchants shout from the docks, hailing canoes loaded with fruit, obsidian, or ducks tied in neat bundles. The noise rises with the sun, but it never becomes chaotic. Everything has its place. By the time you reach the warehouse, your shirt clings to your back. The maize is measured, recorded by the steward with beads and bark paper. You are not thanked, but neither are you ignored. You are essential, but not honored. On your way out, you pause at the edge of a canal. You kneel and splash water on your face for a moment. You watch the reflection of the Templo Mayor, the great twin pyramid of Tenochtitlan, looming high above the city like a stairway to the gods. Do the gods see your work? Do they value the weight you bear? Or are you simply another moving part in the great machine of tribute and trade? You begin the walk back. Your load is lighter now, but your feet are swollen. The sun is higher, and the crowds have thickened. Nobles pass in litters. A dancer spins in a square, offering color and motion to the spirits. Somewhere in a distant courtyard, a conch horn sounds. A ritual has begun, but not for you. By the time you reach home again, it is nearly midday. You rest on the earth floor, chew a strip of dried squash, and try to forget the road. Tomorrow, there will be another bundle, another sack, another walk, and still no beasts of burden only. Imagine a throne, not of gold, but of careful silence, in the vast, ordered heart of Tenochtitlan, where white stone temples brushed the clouds and incense curled into the air like whispers. You find a man seated, high above a world he once understood. His name is Moctezuma Xochiyotzin, and in these final days of his reign, he does not rule so much as observe. The city still bows when he passes. The priests still chant his name, but the rhythms of power, once firm and familiar, now ripple and falter beneath him. It began not with fire, but with questions. From the eastern horizon, strange sails appeared like enormous white birds on the sea. Messengers ran, barefoot and breathless, to deliver the news to the palace. Armored men, faces like bone, beasts taller than any deer, weapons that roared with thunder and tore the air. Moctezuma listened. He did not shout or rally his warriors. He sent gifts instead, robes of feather and shell, gold discs the size of shields. Not in fear, but in ritual caution. You see, for the Mexica, time moved in cycles. Omens mattered, stories mattered, and these pale arrivals, they seemed to echo prophecies from old codices of bearded gods returning across the sea, perhaps even Quetzalcoatl himself. Still, there was doubt. Still, he waited, and as he waited, marched inland, through mountains, over rivers, past cities that bent or broke before him. Moctezuma sent more envoys, more offerings, gold, and always the hope that distance might protect the city that sat upon the lake. It did not. Eventually, the strangers entered Tenochtitlan itself. The scene was surreal. These men, filthy, armored, their eyes always moving, were guided not as prisoners, but as guests. Moctezuma met them under the open sky, in garments so fine they shimmered like water. He offered words, gifts, and the calm of welcome. And in return, they gave only smiles, prayers in a tongue no one understood, and glances, always glances, that measured walls, counted guards, noted weaknesses. In those early days, the city did not burn. Instead, it held its breath. The Spaniards took up quarters in the palace of Moctezuma, continued to rule at least in appearance. He spoke to the people, visited temples, offered sacrifices to calm the heavens. But behind palace walls, the balance was already shifting. He was no longer just the emperor. He was the bridge, the voice of the invaders to the people, and the voice of the people to the invaders. And then violence, in Moctezuma's name, ordered the massacre of Mexican nobles during a festival. Drums fell silent, dancers collapsed mid-step. The plaza ran dark with what the codices call precious water. From that moment, the city turned, stones flew, spears were raised. Moctezuma's own people looked up to the palace and saw not a god-king, but a man kept under watch, a man who had spoken of caution, of prophecy, of restraint, and who now stood beside murderers. When Moctezuma stepped onto the palace roof to speak to them, to calm them, he raised his hands to a crowd that had once worshipped him. But what had once been devotion had become fury. Words were drowned in shouts. Rocks struck his face. Some say it was the Spaniards who killed him, others that it was the people. The records do not agree. But what is certain is that he died not on a battlefield, sword in hand, but behind stone walls, under a sky that had once revered him. His death was not the end of the empire, but it was the end of its soul. And as his body was taken quietly, without ceremony, the city braced itself for the siege to come. The lake would boil with war, the temples would fall, the causeways would run red. But for now, in this moment, the palace is still. The air is heavy with incense and memory. A once great emperor lies still, his obsidian mirror no longer polished, and outside, the city he loved begins to scream, "Let the world slow once more." Imagine you are sitting beneath a stone canopy carved with serpents and stars in the courtyard of an ancient temple. Around you, the shadows shift with the motion of the sun, whose light is not simply warmth, but divinity. You are not watching time pass, you are participating in it. In the heart of the Mexica world, time was sacred. It was not linear, like the ticking of a clock, but circular, woven, like threads on a loom, repeating, cycling, demanding remembrance and renewal. Two great calendars structured life in Tenochtitlan, the Tonalpuhuli, a 260-day sacred cycle, and the Shupahuali, a 365-day solar calendar. One for the gods, one for the crops. Each name a deity, each deity a demand. The words are more than symbols. They are instructions, warnings, prophecies. Certain days are good for marriages. Children were named after their birthday, marking them forever with a divine association. A child born on 5 Death might grow up cautious, introspective. To the Mexica, personality and destiny flowed from the calendar, as surely as water flows down from the mountains. But the calendar was not only for guiding life, it governed sacrifice. To the Mexica, the sun was not eternal. It was a flame that required fuel. Blood, especially from the heart, was seen not as violence, but as the highest form of repayment, a gift back to the gods who had once bled to create the world. Life was owed, not taken, and so the sacrifices were prepared, calmly, methodically, and often ceremonially. The victims were not anonymous. Some were prisoners of war, others chosen from among the people, sometimes even treated like royalty for a year, dressed in flowers and feathers, offered everything they desired until the day of offering came. Their hearts, it was said, would strengthen the sun. Their deaths, while tragic to modern minds, were understood as necessity. This is not a defense, but an understanding. The great pyramids that stood like stairways to heaven were climbed not just by priests, but by time itself. Every ritual had its moment. Every chant had its day. Festivals were held to honor gods of maize, rain, war, fire, and fate. Music echoed across the water. Smoke rose in patterns. The people danced in circles, mirroring the cosmos. And once every 52 years, the two calendars aligned perfectly. This was the new fire ceremonia moment of cosmic uncertainty. All fires across the city were extinguished. Darkness fell. The people waited. In the hills beyond the valley, a flame would be lit in the chest of a sacrificed man, and from it torches were sent to rekindle the world. If the fire did not catch, the sun would not rise again. But it always did, and when it did, life resumed. Children laughed. Farmers sowed seeds. The market at Tlatelolco rang with barter and color. The gods had been fed. The wheel of time appeased. Tonight, you rest in the long shadow of these beliefs. You do not have to accept them, but you may understand them. The Mexica were not monsters. They were human, curious, organized, reverent. They built a city of canals and causeways, calendars and poetry, and yes, ritual and blood. But above all, they built a worldview where everything had its place and every moment had its meaning. Let that rhythm soothe you. Let the passage of sacred time carry you further into stillness. Imagine a world carved from light and shadow-polished floors of volcanic stone, shaded walkways lined with vibrant flowers, and feathered banners drifting softly in the breeze. This is not a battlefield, nor a market. It is the palace of the Tlatoani, the supreme ruler of Tenochtitlan. A word meaning he who speaks. The Tlatoani was more than a king. He was the voice of gods, the axis of time, the embodiment of empire. Now, imagine walking through the vast halls of his residence. There is no chaos here, no noise of merchants, nor shouts of soldiers. The palace is a quiet place, a place of protocol and presence. Courtyards bloom with fragrant magnolia and bougainvillea.com. Distant flutes echo through the corridors. Everything is orderly. Everyone has a place. The Tlatoani, whether it be Itzcoatl, Exiocoatl, or the famed Moctezuma II, woke not to alarm but to ritual. Attendants arrived before dawn to offer maize porridge, seasoned with honey and chili, served in fine ceramic bowls. Robes of cotton, embroidered with turquoise thread, were laid out beside golden sandals, rings for each finger, bracelets for the forearms, and a diadem shaped like a flame for the brow. The morning was not spent in idleness. No, the Tlatoani governed a city of over 200,000 souls. He reviewed tribute records, cacao, cotton, jade, obsidian, gold, and feathers, each arriving in precise amounts from far-flung provinces. He listened to petitions from nobles and commoners alike, seated calmly on a reed mat, surrounded by calm advisors and priests. Justice was dispensed, not with passion, but with precision. You might be surprised to learn how nuanced the laws were. There were punishments, yes, but also an entire network of judges, scribes, and interpreters. The court of the Tlatoani, was not only a symbol of power, it was the center of law and cosmic balance. Then came the astronomers and scribes, carrying scrolls painted in color and glyph. They explained omens, a comet seen over Texcoco, or a dream shared by a farmer. The Tlatoani listened in silence. To rule wisely, one had to hear the sky. Meals were taken in quiet elegance. Turkey stewed with tomato and squash. Fresh tortillas, still steaming. Cups of xocolotl bitter, rich chocolate drink, whipped into froth. Sometimes guests from allied cities dined with the ruler, their presence a gesture of diplomacy, their words chosen with care. Conversation moved, slowly, purposefully. Silence was never awkward, was reverence. And in the afternoons, there was art. Imagine walking alongside the ruler as he visits the palace aviary, where bright-plumed quetzals flutter in cages of reed, or as he watches dancers in the inner court perform in masks of jaguar and hummingbird. The Tlatoani might speak little, but he sees everything. His gaze is law, his breath prophecy. He rarely laughs, but he listens well. Night falls, and the palace softens further. Oil lamps flicker against muraled walls. Incense of copal wafts through the chambers. The ruler retires to his private quarters, perhaps to read codices by the dim glow, or simply to sit in quiet reflection. He does not live forever, but while he rules, the Tlatoani is more than a man. He is the still point in a turning world. Take a moment now, listener. Let the quiet authority of the palace wash over your thoughts. The city has fallen silent. The canals ripple gently. The sacred fires glow faintly in distant courtyards. The rulers sleep, and so may you. And now, dear listener, as the fires of the great temples fade into embers and the streets of Tenochtitlan return to stillness, let us step back from the layers of time we've quietly peeled away together tonight. Juve wandered through the lakeside city where Maize porters rose before the stars and returned long after they had vanished. Juve glimpsed the strange unraveling of an empire seen the mighty Tlatoani gaze toward steel ships he could not have imagined. You've listened to the rhythm of calendars etched in stone, where time demanded blood and the stars whispered debts. And you've moved through the shaded halls of power, where gold gleamed without a smile and silence ruled more deeply than command. The Aztec world was not simple. It was orderly, yet chaotic, brutal, yet beautiful. A place of symmetry and sacrifice, of flowers and fear. But it was, above all, human. Each porter's aching spine, each priest's cautious step, each noble embroidered robe was part of a world as full of wonder and struggle as our own. And while their nights were lit by torches and moonlight rather than electric bulbs, they too longed for sleep, for peace, for moments of stillness between the drums. Tonight, you rest with the comfort of hindsight. The canal waters no longer rise. The pyramids echo only with birdsong. The calendars have ceased to turn. And you, traveler of the mind, may finally drift. Let your thoughts settle like dust in a sunbeam. Let your breath match the slow rhythm of ancient lake tides. And if dreams come, let them come softly, like the rustle of cotton robes across palace stone. The empire sleeps now, and so may you.